Hello.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me on your video here.
Thanks for accepting my request and accepting to talk with me.
Of course, my pleasure.
So I thought to introduce you to my audience.
Absolutely.
So
So
can you introduce yourself to my audience?
I sure can. So my name is Andy Barker. I live in the United States, in the state of Missouri. I'm actually active duty Navy and have been serving for 32 years now. And I've been literally all around the world. But I think why you reached out to me is that I have just published a new book, and the new book is called The Adler Compound, and it's a fictional work, and it's in the military espionage genre, and it's the first novel that I've ever written. So I'm pretty excited about it.
You are from United States.
Yes,
So you're a Navy officer.
I am. Yeah.
So so I'm sure you have a 30 years of experience.
Yes. Yes.
So can you tell more about it?
Yeah. Sure. So I entered the Navy when I was 18 years old, and I enlisted, and I worked my way up through the ranks. I was a hospital corpsman, and that's basically like a medic. Um, so I served a lot of time with the Marine Corps. Um, I had a combatant tour with the Marine Corps, and then I went on and I served not only with the Marines, but I served on two submarines and with the amphibious side of the Navy with the big ships and all the beach craft and whatnot. And then I decided to get my nursing degree. I went and got my nursing degree, and then I got commissioned as a Navy Nurse Corps officer. I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and in about 115 days, I'm retiring. So
Okay, that's great.
yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait.
But you look so young.
I look so young.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. It's because I shaved my head, you know. I don't want you to see all the gray hairs.
Okay, so you was on water for a long time in your life.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Let me turn this up a little bit. Say that one more time.
You was connected with water for a long time in your life.
I would say that. Yeah, for
So how
sure.
was that experience?
Um, it's really hard to kind of put into words, actually. It's just after a time it becomes a part of you and you don't really think about it, if that makes any sense. It's just it becomes you just become kind of, if I want to be philosophical with it, you become one with it almost. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
So, but it's a big time that you spent in Navy, and 30 years is a very big time for a human
it
being.
is. Yeah, most Americans in the military, they do 20 years and then they retire. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I decided to stay another 10, 12 years. But it's because, you know, it's what I love to do. It's all I've known my whole adult life, so it was natural.
So the book that you published recently is connected with your experience.
Yes, not directly. There's, of course, it's fiction, but I tried to keep it as realistic as possible. There's some historical fiction in there, like for example, the times coincide with one of my characters is from Iran. He's Iranian, so there's a time where we reflect on the time he served in the Iran-Iraq War in the 80s, and just some historical points of view in there that are accurate. But it was important for telling of the story, but the rest of the story itself is fiction.
It is about.
So it's about a man who was a retired Navy SEAL that worked for the CIA, ended up quitting, and his wife was kidnapped. There's people out to get him, and he's framed for a chemical attack in Germany. So he has to basically find out who set him up and who kidnapped his wife, try to rescue her, and try to thwart the impending chemical attack on the United States.
So you're talking about Germany in your book.
Yes,
So
yes.
have you visited Germany?
I have not visited Germany. However, my grandparents are of German descent. And hopefully one day after I retire, I'd like to go and visit.
So it is completely a fictional story.
Yes.
So the character that you created will be narrating the story.
Well, the character in the story, all the characters are created. So there's it's all fictional. There's no true connections in real life. However, it's a very plausible plot, and there's a lot of twists and turns, and some. I think most people will be very surprised towards the end of the book.
Okay, so how much time you took to write this book?
This book took me about, I'll say, 8 or 9 months to complete. There was a lot of research that went into it. I have a very, very good friend of mine who's an emergency room physician. His name's Dr. Matt Smith, and he's also very well versed in chemical warfare. So I consulted with him quite a bit on the book to get it to where it would be actually plausible and believable. So it took a lot of research, took a lot of time to do that.
Okay, so you said you did research, which means it is a real story.
Well, it's not a real story, but it's one that could be very real, if that makes sense. So it's something that really could happen, um, but hopefully it never will.
What made you to write this book?
Oh, that's a great question. What led me to write this book is I deal with PTSD, and I have nightmares frequently. And so I had a incident one night where it was a very realistic nightmare. I woke up, my heart was beating, I was sweating, and I thought I was really in the fight. And I couldn't go back to sleep. So I decided, you know what? This might make a pretty good story. So I just started taking some notes down, and finally that was enough to calm me down to go back to sleep. Woke back up, looked at my notes, and I started writing.
So what people think after reading this book?
I think, well, number one, it's a very fast-paced, action-packed book. Will keep them on the edge of the seats. I think at the end there will be some head scratching, like why did that happen? And I think more so over anything else, it will leave people wanting more.
Okay, so you're talking about war in the book.
Maybe there might be a sequel. I don't know. It's a possibility.
Okay. Okay, so you published that book.
I did. Sorry. I published a book. I looked around and I got denied a lot by a lot of publishers. So I decided to self-publish, and it's on Amazon.com. So right now, I just published it 4 days ago. Super excited about it. I'm getting some traction already, and I hope to get more traction. It's in two formats. It's in ebook format, and it's in a hard or paperback edition. So
So what is the response that you got?
I've got nothing but amazing reviews up to this point. I hired a professional editor. She edited the book, and she came back several times and told me what a great story it was. And that was a huge compliment for me because it's my first book, and she's edited hundreds of authors. So for her to come back and say that several times, it really meant a lot to me. Of course, friends and family are always going to say it's good, but I've had some beta readers that I don't even know read it, and I haven't had any negative comments to date. So, I mean, that's a good boost for my ego, but more importantly, I just want to put a good story together, and I want to get it out there, and I just want people to read it and to enjoy, especially in times like now, COVID, where you can't get out and do a whole lot. Take your mind off of life for a while and read the book.
So being a Navy officer and becoming a writer, what do you say about this difference?
Which defense for the?
The writing is a completely a different profession, and
Oh, for
being
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm at the end of my career in the Navy. So, like I said, I've been doing it for over 30 years, and writing is just something that I actually used to do as a kid when I was really young. And then now that I'm close to retirement, I finally have time to sit down and do some other things. So it's kind of a nice transition from, the hustle and bustle of always going and never being home to being home all the time, and now I have to find things to do with my time.
So, can you tell me some a few situations that made you to that created impact in you in your 30 years service?
Um, I'd say, hello. I'd say for the most part, being in my career field and being able to help people has really impacted my life. Being there in trauma situations, being there in combatant situations, and being able to help my fellow service members. More importantly, when I'm not deployed and I'm back in the rear, as we like to say, being able to not only help my fellow service members but their families as well. So that's left a tremendous impact on my life.
So, as a human being, what you have learned being in the doing the service for the country?
As a human being, well, I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but I don't trust people in general. Um, uh, it's really affected me to the point where if my wife and I and the kids go to a restaurant, I always have to have my back to a wall. I have to see all the exits. Um, I don't deal with crowds very well. I don't deal with loud noises very well. So I've had a lot of issues and challenges dealing with that, but I'm getting a lot better with it. It's tough.
So you said that after 100 days you are going to retire from your job. So
Yes,
what is your next plans?
to do nothing.
To do nothing.
I joke about that, but I mean, there's a bit of truth to that. I've been going nonstop for 30 years. I just want to, at least for the first couple months, enjoy life and really not have to worry about, hey, I have to be here at a certain time or I have to go do this. I'm responsible for these people. I have to do these reports. It's just going to be nice to kind of just focus on myself and my family for a change.
So when you was in Navy officer and you disconnected from the social world and you just was into your job. So do you have time to know about the society and what is happening in the society?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Being in the military, you have to have constant situational awareness of what's going on. You're foolish not to. And even as a civilian, you should be always aware of what's going on around you. I think people live in a bubble too much nowadays, and if it's not on social media, they don't care about it, which isn't realistic. Social media it's wonderful on one aspect, and then it's horrible on another. People live in their own little worlds, and they think, is that a baby in the background?
Yeah, that's why I'm muted.
No, that's fine. Yeah, it's just people think that they can sit behind a computer and say and do whatever they want, and then they get their feelings hurt when they go back to the real world. Because in the real world, um, I really don't care about your feelings. If you're working for me and you're doing your job and you're doing it exceptionally well, no problems. But if you come to me whining and complaining about this or that and you're not doing your job well, you're going to get your feelings hurt from me.
So, how many marks will you give to yourself out of 10 as a Navy officer?
How many what? I'm sorry.
How many marks?
How
How many
many
marks? How many?
months?
Yeah, marks. Rate yourself.
On my performance,
Yeah,
I think I am above average. How about that?
that's great.
I'm not, I'm not the best officer out there. I'm not certainly not the worst. I'd say I'm above average.
Okay, so you was into water all the time. So what are the things that you faced and which you felt like it is very challenging for you?
Well, I haven't, the first half of my career was served with the Marine Corps. So I wasn't really on the water. I was in the field. I was in the dirt. I was doing everything a Marine would do. So for, 15 years of my career, that's what I did. And then after that, I switched over to what we call the regular Navy or the blue water Navy. And that was a challenge for me because there's a whole different mindset between Marines and Navy. Marines are trained to go out there and basically kill the enemy, right?
Yeah.
And then the Navy side is just like, oh, okay, everything's kind of chill and laid back and whatnot. They have a mission to do, but it's not a direct combat role. Usually the Navy is in support in some way, shape, or form, unless of course you're talking naval special warfare or even like your pilots or whatnot or your explosive ordnance disposal. But with the Marine Corps, it's a mindset that you don't question orders. For example, if you have a sergeant that tells his privates, I need you to go charge that hill, because that's where the enemy's at. The privates aren't going to question it. They're going to go charge that hill and they're going to take out the enemy. Whereas in the Navy, if you have somebody that's a little bit senior telling the junior person to go do something, usually it's like, well, why? Why do I have to do it? Well, number one, because I told you to, and number two, it could be possibly life or death. If there's a casualty on a ship, meaning a ship casualty, and let's say flooding, for instance, ship will flood rapidly, and if I have to tell you to go do this, that, or whatever to save the ship, and if you're sitting there questioning me why, well, then lives could be lost. So it was a hard adjustment for me at first. And then, of course, I went from the Marines to a submarine. So that was a very, very challenging environment for me. And, I've been in two fires on submarines underwater. And that's very scary because the whole compartment, the whole ship fills up with smoke in seconds.
Okay,
And,
okay.
and if you're not trained properly, then the whole ship could be lost. So it's pretty intense.
Okay, so you worked under which water?
But I've been all over,
All over.
all over.
How many kilometers have you traveled underwater?
Uh, well, it's on my last deployment alone, I circumnavigated the globe twice.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Right. Okay, okay.
so when I say I've been all over, I've been all over.
That's a very big thing for a human being to, do something
It's
like
cr-
this.
it's crazy, and I sit there and I tell you about it, and to us it was just another day, just it's what we do, our job. And then when I sit back and I think about it, it's actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So coming to your book, so
Mhm.
you wrote this book by taking the information for 9 months, 8 to 9 months.
Mhm.
So
It
this is completely your own imagination.
100%.
So who are going to connect with this book?
I think I think the specific population that would enjoy this book would be 18 years old and older males who like action and adventure. However, I've had many women read it and have enjoyed it as well. So my initial demographic was for the 18 and older males, but uh, after having a lot of feedback, I'm finding that women enjoy it as well. So that was surprising to me and very encouraging.
So this is your first book.
It is. Now I've written two short stories, previously to this, but this was my first novel.
Okay, so can any person from anywhere on this planet can understand what you are saying in the book?
I think so. I tried to keep it at. I didn't put a lot of fancy words in there. I tried to keep it as reasonable as possible, and there are a lot of terms in the book that someone may not know, but I've included a glossary in the back. So especially for military terms, if you come across one and you're not sure what it is, you can always look in the back and find out what that word is. In addition to trying to break it down and explain it as I'm going.
So at last, do you have anything to say about your book to the world who watches this video?
Yes, please buy it. I think you will enjoy it. It's fast paced. It's about 327 pages, so it's not a very long read. And I think that you will get something out of it. I think there's a couple secret hidden messages in there, on how to live your life and whatnot. And there's some twists and turns in the plot that I guarantee you won't see coming. And I think you'll enjoy it. And if you do buy it on Amazon.com, the Adler compound on Amazon.com, please leave me a review. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
Any good words?
Any good words? We're alive.
Yeah.
I mean, in this COVID area, this COVID time that we live in, the fact that you and I are talking and we're both breathing and healthy, that's always good.
So at last, have you watched any previous videos of mine on YouTube?
I did last night, as a matter of fact. I watched your main, the one on your channel. When you click on the YouTube channel with your retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. So I watched that. I'd watched a couple other ones and I fell asleep. Because it was late last night when we talked, So for me, anyway.
How you felt?
What's that?
After watching the video, what you felt?
I liked it. Well, that's exactly why I decided to do the video with you today. So if I didn't like it, I would have said, no, I can't do it.
It's thank you so much for coming and telling about yourself and telling about your book and telling some good words.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you doing this with me. It was a lot of fun.
So can I put this video on YouTube and on internet, on social media with your permission?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to want to see this so much. It might scare some people away, but yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, sir. Keep going, keep doing what you love.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, take care.